Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kate. This is Diamond Painting and Dr. Pepper, and I am coming at you today with another WIP and Chat. Today we're going to be working on Satura by Margaret Morales, and I am very excited to get some more work done on this one. If you saw my recent WIP update, you'll know that I only did 5 sections of this in March, so I'm excited that my little spinny wheel rolled for me to work on it today. I'm going to go ahead and get started on it here. How was your week, everybody? Actually, how was your last 2 weeks? I wasn't able to post last Sunday, so I've been missing chatting with you all. Last Sunday was actually Easter, so for those who celebrate, I hope you guys had a good one. Let's see, what should we start with? Let's go with this one. Today I am working with a Muni-Made tray as always, and my pen is from Diamond Pen Pal, and it's the one that is inspired by this artwork, so that's always so fun to work with this pen. Oh man, so it has been a busy couple of weeks for me. Work has just been really full, and it has been hard to get anything done outside of work. The week before this last week was spring break for Casey, so that was nice because I usually set my alarm to wake up with him in the mornings just to see him off to school and everything and say goodbye. But it does interrupt my sleep cycle, so it's nice when he has some time off of school because that also means that I get uninterrupted sleep for a while. So I really appreciate that. And he does too, because he's a night owl like me, so he sleeps in whenever he can. I always love coming back to a square kit after I've been working on a round kit. Oh, it's so nice. I am definitely a fan of squares, and the more I do them, the more I love them and prefer them. I'll still do rounds. They're just not my preference, I think. And it took me a while to figure that out. So this is kind of a new realization for me. My brain is working a little bit slowly today, so bear with me. Oops, I dropped a drill. If I sound a little out of it, it's because I am. I have been waking up the past couple days feeling so weird, and then last night I barely got any sleep at all because I think I was too vigorous with flossing yesterday, and I have really sensitive gums, and my I don't know if this ever happens to anyone else, but after I got done flossing, my whole upper left side of my jaw just ached, and like sharp pains too. It was just so painful, especially when I was trying to go to sleep because I was laying down and it shifts the, I don't know, I guess the pull on it or something. But man, I felt out of it, so I tried to go to bed at like 9, which is really early for me. And then I did manage to sleep for a while, but I got woken up at about 1:30 a.m. because of the pain, and I couldn't get back to sleep, so I got up and I took some ibuprofen. I took 2 ibuprofen, and it didn't even touch the pain, which is unusual. Like, if I take ibuprofen, 2 is almost always enough for me to kill most of the pains that I have on a regular basis. But yeah, I tossed and turned for another 2 hours. I got up at 3:30 and took 2 more ibuprofen, which is like the limit you're supposed to have is 4 at a time or something. So I took 2 more and it finally dulled the pain enough that I was able to get to sleep. And that was really nice because I had to get up earlier than usual today. So I was glad I was able to try to go to bed early. I just wish I would have been able to actually sleep more. But today was my husband's grandma's 91st birthday party. And so we had to drive about an hour away, a little over an hour away, to my husband's dad's house and in Vancouver, so a whole different state, but not that far. And she lives up there in Vancouver too, but she lives in like a assisted living near his house. So she was able to leave for the day to go to his house so that we could all celebrate her for her birthday. So that was fun. I don't know if you guys have Old Spaghetti Factory where you live. They have several locations like around the country, but some places probably don't have them. But it's one of our favorite places to go. We don't have one in our city, but there are some in cities kind of surrounding us. So we take every opportunity we have to go there. And my father-in-law catered the party from there. So we were able to have spaghetti and their yummy salad and their yummy garlic bread. And then we had a Dairy Queen ice cream cake for her birthday cake. And I had a small piece of that, even though I'm diabetic. I just was careful to watch my sugar and didn't have too much of the pasta, But yeah, it was really fun. She's so sweet. Her name is Esther, and I just think it's my husband is 7 years older than me, and I think it's kind of wild that his grandma is still alive and kicking. She turned 91 today, and she's my husband's father's mom. And she had him when she was 16 because she's only 16 years older than he is. So that's part of the reason why he still has a grandma around, is because she was so young when she had her kids. So it's nice that Casey gets to know his great grandma and everything, because, a lot of people don't necessarily get to have that for very long in their lives. But yeah, she's a sweetie, and we all really enjoyed celebrating her, and she got a photo album with lots of family pictures for her birthday, and I think she really appreciated that. She's been having some health problems in the last year, so it was really nice to be able to get almost the whole family there to celebrate her birthday with her. But yeah, that was a long drive today, and then on our way home, we stopped at a bookstore that's like partway back to our house. So Casey was able to get more books to add to his collection that he has been wanting that we couldn't find at our local bookstore. So he was thrilled about that, and I actually picked up just like on a whim, they had, here, I'll show you. They had this book of Irish fairy and folk tales, and it's so pretty. It's got like gold page edges and stuff, and it's really pretty, and I love Irish legends and stuff like that. So this was, it was only $10, and so I picked it up because I do like to collect books, even though I don't often read physical books. I like to collect pretty ones. And it was interesting because I didn't even realize the first little poem in here called The Fairies by William Allingham. I was like, what is so familiar about this? So the first few lines are, "Up the airy mountain, down the rushy glen, we daren't go hunting for fear of little men." And that sounded so familiar to me, even though I know I've never read this poem before. I was like, where have I heard that? And I finally figured it out as we were driving home. It's from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. If you've ever seen the old movie with Gene Wilder, one of the characters in that movie recites the first part of that poem to Charlie Bucket, talking about how the Oompa Loompas, like, nobody leaves the chocolate factory and no one comes in or out. So who's making all the chocolate, you know? He didn't mention the Oompa Loompas by name, but he recites the first lines of that poem when he kind of hints at that. So I was like, whoa, blast from the past. It's been a while since I've seen that movie, but it is definitely a childhood favorite of mine. So I thought that was cool that's the very first story in there. It's a poem, not a story, but so yeah, that was fun. Anyway, we got home and I have spent the rest of the day working today because next week I'm going to be out of town. So I'm trying to make sure I don't fall behind and take the opportunity to do some extra work over the weekend. But I also wanted to try and get a WIP and chat done since I didn't get to do one last week. And I missed chatting with you guys. So, although I am feeling really, really weird. Like the past couple mornings when I've woken up, I've been super sweaty, which never happens to me. I'm usually cold almost all the time, but I've been so hot when I woke up. And then last night as I was trying to sleep, and I had the tooth pain or the jaw pain, I was freezing enough to the point where I actually got my heating pad out and just covered my torso with it because I was so cold. I just set it on the lightest setting and slept that way for a while, and then was able to it auto turns off after a while. So hopefully that's not a safety hazard, but I was freezing. But then I woke up really hot this morning. So yeah, I refuse to think that I'm getting sick because we are going on vacation next week to Disneyland, and I am not going to be sick when we're on vacation, dang it. But I did take my temperature before we went to the birthday party today because, Matt's grandma is pretty elderly at 91, and I just wanted to make sure I wasn't feverish or anything before we went to her party, and it was normal temperature, so I don't know. I just feel off. I thought maybe when I woke up the day before yesterday feeling warm, I thought maybe it was just because our air conditioner still isn't working, which I think I talked about in my last WIP and chat. We have gotten some quotes back on options for fixing it. So the line that the coolant runs through apparently had a leak. So they said they could charge us $1,400 to find out where the leak is and fix the leak. And then they'd have to also test and see if having it leaking like that ruined our compressor. And if it did ruin our compressor, if it didn't, then the cost would be $1,400. If it did ruin our compressor and we need a new one of those, then the cost is going to go up to $3,100, which we were told when the repair guy was here was going to be almost the cost of just replacing the whole unit. But when they gave us a quote for what it would actually cost to replace the whole unit, guys, it's $5,900. So that's like twice as much. It's not even close. So our next step, I think, is going to be to get a second opinion another quote from a different place and see if it's comparable, just so we can, because we don't know what the standard is. So that's going to be the next step, but we're not even going to worry about it till we get back from vacation. So until then, we haven't been able to use the AC, but luckily it's been, I guess kind of luckily, it's been pretty cold around here lately and rainy and stuff like that. So we haven't really needed to use the AC. So that must not be why I was so hot the past couple days. I don't know. Because I checked the temperature when I woke up and it was around freezing. It was like 36 degrees. So I was like, okay, I should not be this hot. It wasn't that temperature in the house, obviously. We do have the heater that works, but outside wasn't that hot. So like the house shouldn't have been too hot. So I don't know. I wasn't feeling too great last weekend either. I think I even posted a message to you guys letting you know that I probably wouldn't have a WIP and chat up last week because I wasn't feeling great. I still managed to go to our family's Easter celebration. But man, I was just kind of out of it. Just went over to Matt's mom's, my husband's mom's house to have Easter dinner. And actually we had to leave early because Matt got he started to feel a migraine coming on. And if he's able to like get to a dark place and close his eyes fast enough, he can often avoid the worst symptoms. So we had to leave right away so he could go to bed and like try to nap it off so that the migraine didn't hit him hard. And luckily he did manage to avoid the worst of it. He took like a 3-hour nap and felt better after that. Still kind of groggy, but most of the pain was avoided, I think. I feel so bad for people who get migraines. I don't think I've ever had a true migraine, but man, I'm such a baby with just regular headaches. I don't know how people with migraines manage to survive them. Although I have a lot of stomach aches, so I guess maybe that makes up for it. I just have a different kind of pain that I'm kind of more used to than other people might be, I guess. It's been really bothering me the past couple of days too, my stomach. I have IBS, and I also take Ozempic for my diabetes, and both of those things can cause upset stomach and other gastrointestinal issues, and they've just been doing a number on me in the past couple days. So it has not been pleasant, especially today's hour-long drive to get to the party and then hour-long drive to get home. I was just like, I hope I don't have to stop somewhere so that I can use a public bathroom or something. I hate public bathrooms. I will do almost anything I can to avoid using one. But ever since this IBS thing started flaring up several years ago, I've had to get a lot more comfortable with using public bathrooms. It sucks. It's either that or don't go anywhere, and you still gotta live your life. So that was probably more information than you guys needed or wanted, but here we go. I feel like it's one of those things that isn't talked about as much, even though a lot of people deal with it. And I feel like maybe people should talk about it more so that other people dealing with it will know it's like they're not alone. It's kind of a common issue, and it can really make life difficult in some situations for sure. I'm thinking about our upcoming trip to Disneyland. We're going to drive there, so that's going to take between 13 and 15 hours depending on traffic. So I'm worried about the drive and like making sure I don't have to stop too many times. I'm hoping my stomach calms down before then. And then I'm also worried about walking around the parks for 2 days once we get there, because just today, like at the party, I had to sit down the whole entire time because when I was trying to just stand there, not even walk around much. When I was just trying to stand there, I was getting these awful stomach cramps, and it hurt a lot. I'm just hoping because it goes through phases, and sometimes I'm fine, and other times it flares up like this, and I'm hoping it's getting itself out of my system before we actually go on our trip in a couple of days. So speaking of our trip, I'm thinking of trying to vlog. I don't know how much footage I'll be able to get because my husband won't want to be on camera and stuff. But I'm thinking of trying to vlog what I can so that I can make a video out of it. I love having videos of our trips and my travel so I can like rewatch them later and look back on them. It's almost like enjoying it again, you know? So I will try to do that, but I don't know, like I said, how much footage I'll be able to get. So if it isn't enough footage to make a full video, I might just like chat about what we did and put some footage in to my next WIP and chat, like I did with my last WIP and chat when we went to Enchanted Forest. So let's see, I talked about Casey's spring break. His school did not end up going on strike. They were able to reach an agreement. So that's good. So he won't have to worry about maybe attending school late into the summer months. He is taking these next 4 days this week off because he's coming with us to Disneyland, and that's probably not the greatest because he hasn't been keeping up. Wow. That was fun. He hasn't been keeping up with his classes very well, but I'm the kind of parent who, like, I know school is important, but at a certain point, like, there's other things in life that are more important. And I think having these memories of a family trip with his mom and dad are going to be more important for him than missing 4 days of school, you know? And, you know, some people might not feel the same way, and that's okay. Everybody parents how they feel is best. But to me, I feel like this is the right move for our family. So I'm excited that he's coming along, and I can't wait to experience Disney with him because the last time we were there with him, he was only 2, and he was carried around Disney for the most part in like a toddler backpack thing. So this will be the first time he'll really have memories of it. And, you know, since then he has been able to go to Walt Disney World a couple of times, but they're actually pretty different if you haven't ever been to both of them. You know, one has things the other doesn't and vice versa. So it is kind of a different experience for sure. So yeah, I am excited, but things are changing at Disneyland too. They've redone it so that it has Galaxy's Edge, the Star Wars land now. So Casey and Matt haven't been there since that was redone, and there's a lot of changes at California Adventure since the last time we were there. They have last time we were there, they had Bugs Life and all that at California Adventure. Now they have Cars Land, and they have the whole Avengers campus, which wasn't there before. So I'm looking forward to experiencing that with them. I was able to go a year ago, and I have a WIP and chat where I talk about that trip because I was able to meet up with Katie and Christiane and Jade, and that was so much fun. And I'm hoping I get to meet up with them again this time, but it's also like it's a family trip this time, and my husband's not super social, and he won't want to like have dinner with people he doesn't know or anything. So I'm not sure like when and how we'll be able to do that, although I'm pretty sure we'll see at least Christiane because she works at Disneyland. So I'm hoping we'll be able to catch some of her performances and stuff like that. But I'd really love to see Jade and Katie too, even if it's just for like a meal at Downtown Disney. It's hard to plan because I don't know what our itinerary is going to look like when we're there and when I'm going to have like downtime to do that, where my husband and son will be doing something else. I don't know. So, but here's hoping. I'm crossing my fingers. I miss them so much. I think number 4. I'm feeling the tan colors today, apparently. I haven't done any of the greens or blues. So yeah, anyway, because work has been so busy, like I mentioned, I haven't had much time for like any extracurriculars. I haven't been diamond painting much. I haven't been reading as much, although when I have an audiobook to listen to, I can sometimes listen to that while I'm working, if it's something that I don't have to pay super close attention to. Like I can't read The Way of Kings while I'm working because I was reading that for the read-along, and I want to be able to pay attention so I know maybe some things I want to talk about in my read-along videos, which unfortunately I haven't even been able to make or post part 2 of last week's read-along video. And I did not post one this week, obviously, because I didn't even finish last week's. And I did mention in the Goodreads group for my read-along that I'm not sure where to go from here on it, because I won't be able to post an update this next week either, because we'll be gone for 4 days. And so I won't be able to be reading and making a video to go up next Friday either. And I'm feeling feelings about it because I'm someone who has the best intentions, and I love to start things, and then it feels like something always happens and I flake out and I'm not able to finish things. And I was really dedicated to not having that happen with the read-along, because I was really excited about it. I still am. But I feel like things are working against me that I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting like things to get so busy at work. And I think when I made the schedule for the read-along, we hadn't planned when we were going on our trip yet. So I didn't know that was going to fall in between there. And this sounds like just a bunch of excuses to my ears, but it's just the, honest truth is I haven't been able to have the brain power when I'm done working to sit down and film at all, hardly. I had to push myself to do it today because I'm feeling so off and because I worked today. And it did take a lot of just, I feel woozy, like my head's spinny. So I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to ignore it and refuse to give it any credence. It can go away so that when we leave the day after tomorrow, I will be feeling completely normal. I'm manifesting it right now. And part of that is that I'm forcing myself to go to bed earlier again today. Oh, I missed a 4 way up here because I didn't see it. So I'm going to go to bed as soon as I'm done with this WIP and chat filming and editing and posting. Of course, by the time I do that, it's probably going to be after midnight, but that's still early for me. But we're going to leave at like 6 a.m. on Monday. So I got to be ready. Although I will probably sleep in the car for the first little bit. My husband's going to take the first shift of driving, and then we'll switch in the afternoon, and I will take the second shift, which is interesting because I don't usually get to drive when he's along because he gets car sick if someone else drives. If he's not the driver, then he has a tendency to get car sick. But he is going to be bringing Dramamine, like for when we're going on rides and stuff, and so he might as well use that for the drive too. I just realized, you guys, I wasn't intending to do this section next. I was going to go across the whole top and then finish up with these sections last, but oh well, I guess we're doing it this way. That's just you can tell my head is just not in it today. So yeah, anyway, I would like to get as much sleep the night before we leave as I can. However, I'm going to be really excited, so I don't know how much I'll be able to sleep. I get anxious and excited before I go on a trip, so they kind of duel back and forth in my brain as to whether I'm excited or nervous about traveling. So yeah, as I said, I've been super busy with work, and I got a call Thursday night from my dad, and he was like, "Hey, how busy are you with work?" And I was like, "Yeah, pretty busy." And he was like, "Well, could you and Casey come over and help me with some stuff at my house? There's some heavy things I need to move." He's been helping to clean out his neighbor's house because unfortunately his neighbor and friend did just pass away. He was an older gentleman, and he has been in a nursing home on kind of end-of-life care for a little bit now. And his son lives down in Vegas, so he was asking for my dad's help to take what you want from his house, and I'll probably just sell the estate after that because it's going to be hard for him to try to handle all that from Vegas and stuff. Anyway, so he has been doing a lot of wow, I don't know what's going on out there. You guys probably heard all of that. Anyway, so he's been doing a lot of bringing stuff to his house and kind of trying to find places to put it in the meantime. So we thought we were going to help with that. And so we get there, and usually my dad greets us at the door and stuff and says hi. This time his door is open, but he's not at the door, and we hear him say, "Come in." And the first thing I see as I start walking in the door is a bunch of toys on the floor. And I'm like, what the heck? Then we finished walking in the door, and he is standing there holding the cutest little ragamuffin puppy, you guys. And this was a complete shock to me because he has been saying, I've been trying to get him to adopt a puppy or an older dog or just some kind of dog for years. I even offered as a birthday present for him one year that I would pay the adoption fee if he wanted to adopt a dog because, he lives by himself, and I just thought it would be good for him to have a companion. And I know how much he loves dogs and everything, but he was kind of hemming and hawing and not sure if he wanted to do it because he does like to travel in his RV now that he has one, and he was worried about maybe not being able to be as mobile if he had a dog to worry about. But yeah, we walk in and he's holding this dog that apparently, you guys, he sneakily drove all the way down to mid-California the day before that, and then drove back up with the dog that day and called as soon as he got home from driving all the way down there. His friend's daughter had been fostering this puppy from some people down the street who were going through a breakup and couldn't keep the dog. And he's only 3 months old. And he was loved because he has little stairs to get up onto the couch, and he has 2 different crates, and he even had a little box that can buckle into the front seat, and then it buckles in, and then you clip his collar to it, so it's safe for him to ride in this cute little bed in the passenger seat. And so he had all this stuff that came with him, and apparently my dad he figured this was the time and this was the dog, and so he now has a puppy. He came with a name that my dad is keeping, and I thought it was kind of funny because his name is Apollo. And if you guys watch Single and Placing here in the diamond painting community, he has a dog named Apollo. So it brought that to mind for me. But he is nothing like Apollo. We are pretty sure he's part Yorkie and part something else. He's only like 5 pounds, and we're not sure how much bigger he'll get because he is still just a little puppy, but I don't think he's going to get too much bigger. And he is so cute. His ears and his head are bigger than the rest of his body. And he's a little cutie. So my dad totally just surprised us all with his new addition. And tomorrow he's going to bring Apollo over to do a meet and greet with our dogs. He was planning to like dog sit for us while we're gone. And so now we're going to have to do an introduction and hope that my big dogs are gentle with his little puppy, tiny little puppy guy. So we're going to be carefully introducing them tomorrow when he comes over to like get instructions for how to take care of everybody and stuff. But he's so cute. I'm so glad that my dad has a dog now. We've had dogs pretty much my whole life when I was growing up. So him being without a dog for this long, it's been quite a while. And it's just been weird because, I don't know, he's such a dog person. He loves coming over to visit our dogs and stuff, but it's not the same. And he's just, it's so cute. He sends me pictures of Apollo like sleeping on his lap, and apparently Apollo also likes to do the parrot thing where like you're sitting somewhere and he'll crawl up so that he's sitting on your shoulder like a parrot. So cute. So yeah, that was a big surprise this week, but definitely a welcome one. I just hope my dogs can behave and be nice. They get too excited. They're not very socialized with other dogs just because we don't do a lot of social stuff. We mostly hang around at home, so that's what they're used to. Although my stepdaughter has had 3 dogs in the time we've had these dogs, and so they've been socialized with those dogs because whenever my stepdaughter comes over, she usually brings her dogs. She only has one right now, but he comes with her, and our dogs just add him to the pack. So they're pretty good, but he's another big dog, you know. And my dad's dog is a tiny little guy. And my big polar bear dog, Max, could probably just step on him. Fit him under his paw. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. So yeah, I even though I haven't had much time to read my Way of Kings book, I did have 2 new library books pop up as being ready to borrow on my Libby app. And I'm still getting used to how that works, but I had pushed them both off for a week. And so the time had come and they'd popped back up again. And this time I accepted them because I figured next week we'd be traveling down to California and I could listen to at least one of them while we were driving. And then the other one was actually like a young adult novel, and it was only a 10-hour audiobook. And since I listened to stuff on ×2 speed, it was only a 5-hour audiobook for me. So I was able to actually finish that one this week while when I got off work, I wasn't able to film because my brain was mush, but I was able to diamond paint a little bit and listen. So I was able to finish that one. It's called Sabriel by Garth Nix. And I wasn't sure I was going to like it at first because it is about necromancy. And I've never been a big fan of stories about necromancy and like dead things or like even like zombies and stuff. It's just not my thing. But it was kind of a charming little book, actually. Most of it was about like a quest for her to figure something out. And I love like mysteries or, you know, things like that. So, and there was some of that. And another thing I loved about it was that if you guys have seen or read Stardust by Neil Gaiman, and it was a movie a while ago, really good movie. There's like a wall that separates a magic kingdom from the normal world. And it's like that in this book too. Like there's the old kingdom that has magic and stuff, and it's separated by a wall from the new kingdom that is more based around technology. Although they do have more interaction than like the two countries in Stardust do. But yeah, so that was entertaining because you got to see like some of the technology, like tanks and telephones and stuff like that in the new country up against like the magic from the old kingdom. And I like that. And the characters were cool. They weren't very dynamic characters, but this is book number 1 in a series. So I do kind of want to read the rest of this series, and maybe there will be more character growth as you go on down the line of the books. But I was sitting there listening to it, thinking that the narrator sounded really familiar, although I was listening to it at times 2 speed, like I said, so it was a little bit hard to tell. And then when I got to, because in Libby, I haven't found the place where it says who the narrator is, you know, like on the listing for the book. So when it got to the end, it said it was read by Tim Curry, which was awesome because I love Tim Curry. He's an actor and he's been in lots of stuff. But like, for instance, he's Frankenfurter in Rocky Horror Picture Show. But yeah, he did an amazing job. And I was like, oh, okay, that's why it was familiar, because his normal speaking voice sounded a little bit different in this book, like when he was narrating. But when he did some of the characters and like acted them, that's where it was familiar to me, because it was kind of, it was really well done and kind of out there. And so that's why it sounded so familiar. And I loved it, the voice acting he did. So yeah, that was a fun book. Even though it was about necromancy, I still got into it. And then the other book that I borrowed is Red Rising, which is like a science fiction fantasy. And I have recently started that one, and a lot of people say it's really good. I'm struggling with it so far because it's one of those books that's a little bit harsher. Like, there's books that seem to start out with, hey, look, you've got this idyllic place and everything's good, and then something happens that makes things bad, and the characters have to do a quest or whatever to return things to the way things were, so they can get back what they once had. Kind of like Lord of the Rings, where you start out in the Shire and it's this idyllic place, but then, you know, things happen and they have to go on a journey, and it's this juxtaposition between the way things were in the beginning, where everyone was kind of happy, and then how things were on the journey, where it was tense and scary. And this one starts out where things already suck, and the whole thing is probably going to be about a rebellion to try to make things suck less. And I just enjoy that setup a little bit less. And also, the book is in first person, which I tend to prefer less than third person. And not only that, but it's also in present tense, which is a thing I've noticed several like more recent books doing lately, and I really dislike that. So like, I think Fourth Wing and Iron Flame were this way, where it's like, instead of, those were in first person present tense too. So instead of like first person past tense, where it's like, I ran to the wall and jumped, this is more like, I run to the wall and jump. And I don't know, it's a weird thing to be picky about, but it's just jarring to me. Like, it's harder for me to get into the story when it's in present tense, even more so than when it's in first person. So I'm still adjusting to that. And also, I think I'm only like 4 or 5 chapters in, but also the audiobook narrator is narrating most people with like an Irish accent, and the narrator, it's in first person, so the narrator himself has an Irish accent, which I love, but it's also really hard to listen to at times 2 speed because they already talk, I feel like they already talk faster than American English speakers. And then you also throw the accent on there and it's even harder to understand what they're saying. So I might have to slow this one down and just go to maybe 1.5 speed or something like that. I'm trying to like see if I can get used to it at times 2 speed, but I feel like I'm just kind of missing too much because of the accent and everything. So we'll see, but I'll probably be listening to that one on our drive down. So yeah, because I have to return it in like 8 days, and I feel like if I listen to it on the drive, I'll probably get pretty close to finishing it during that time, at least on the way down and the way back. Other than that, my husband and I watched Damsel this week, which is a Netflix original movie, and it has Millie Bobby Brown and a few other like well-known actors in it. But it was kind of mid, guys. I don't know if I'd recommend it. It's just, it was just okay, you know? I don't know. It had the best part was the dragon. There's a dragon in it, and it's an intelligent dragon, so she talks and everything. And her voice actor did an amazing job. But the story just didn't 100% make a lot of sense. And so, yeah, I don't know. Kind of disappointing. But I don't know. Have you seen that? Let me know what you think. But anyway, I think that's about all I had to update you guys on. So I'll go ahead and move into our yay or nay section. And I'll start by answering the question I asked last time, 2 weeks ago, which was, do you think high political offices need age limits and or cognitive tests? And for my answer, I think it would be a yay. Specifically cognitive tests. I don't know if an age limit is necessarily a thing that I would go for, but if you think about it, like for instance, in America, in order to be president, there is an age limit on the younger end. So like, I think you have to be 35. So there's a age limit on the one side, but there's no age limit on the other side. So I feel like if they can do it on the young side, then we should be able to have an age limit on the other side for now you're too old, you know? But I definitely think a cognitive test is appropriate because the leaders of our country have a huge responsibility to be a certain level of competent. They deal with a lot of foreign policy and interacting with other countries and making decisions on how we as a country function. So I feel like a cognitive test is really appropriate for someone in that position. And unfortunately, both of the candidates who I feel like we're going to have a choice to vote between this time in America are a bit lacking in cognitive function. And I don't know. I just feel like a cognitive test would kind of help regulate that a lot. And maybe it's me. I'm just tired of old white men running our country. Like, maybe we could get some fresh perspective in once in a while. Or, heck, maybe even a woman, you know? It's time, guys. But yeah, so let's see what you guys said. I counted up, and aside from one that was kind of undecided, we had 10 yays and 2 nays. So let's read what some of you responded with. Trin says, it's a yay for me. I think there needs to be an age cap as well as an age minimum for all offices. As for the cap, it's not just a matter of cognitive decline, it's also a matter of being familiar with concerns of the majority of the population. For example, a 65-plus official is pretty far removed from the needs of individuals in their 20s, 30s, or 40s, given tech, employment, environmental concerns, etc. Yes, that older official could read about it, but I just don't believe that has the same resonance. And yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, that's some of what I was saying too. Like, I feel like we need some younger leadership that is more in touch with like the current generation. Elizabeth Peterson says, "Yeah, I am for age or health restrictions for people in high office. I believe we have some of that here in Norway. The prime minister have to be medically approved before taking office." So yeah, that's awesome that Norway already has that in place. And then we have Mystic Rain said, "As for the political question, it's a yay with a huge but. I think the whole way our government is run needs an overhaul. There needs to be age limits and term limits, and with how much we are involved online, I don't think the 1% should be the only runners, and that it should only look two-sided anymore. I really wish it could be by nominations based upon what accomplishments have been achieved in making our nation and world a better place. I feel like the people who govern do not have the welfare of the people as a whole in mind. I could elaborate my thoughts, but that would be a novel. I hope I don't seem confusing in my thoughts about it either. Great thought-provoking question. Thanks, Rain." Yeah, I definitely agree that our two-party system is in need of a major overhaul, but I feel like that's going to be a really hard thing to do just because of the way it's set up. Like here in America, if someone is not running in one of those two parties, basically all it does if people vote for them is take votes away from the other candidate they would have voted for in the main two parties. And the other person in that two-party system always ends up winning. So like it's always either a Republican or a Democrat. And rarely, if ever, does any kind of other political party make it into the top of the running. Nikki Morris says, "I think that a cognition test of some sort would be beneficial. The age restriction would be hard because you can have a group of people all the same age with varying levels of cognition. I think the same should be said for driver's licenses." I agree with that. And am I wrong in thinking that you do kind of have to take, once you get to a certain age, maybe it varies by state, but I thought once you get to a certain age, you have to take your driver's like functional test more often. I could be wrong. But yeah, I definitely agree that that's why I'm more leaning towards the cognitive test side of things, because you can be of varying ages and still be competent. But the same is true for being younger than 35 or whatever the age requirement is. And yet that's not a thing. Like there is that hard age limit there. So I don't know. And then Courtney Lyons over at Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend said, "I think not an age limit, but a cognitive test for sure. I think we need to be seen as a strong country so we're not attacked by other countries, and our leadership not only has to deal with things with sound minds, but also appear strong and not weak. Our president reflects our country." Totally agree. One of the main jobs, in my opinion, of a president is to be a representative of our country, and that's part of why I vote the way I do, is because certain candidates, in my point of view, are an embarrassment to our country. And yeah. So that's a big consideration too, is what kind of a role model are they going to be? And then we have Katarina Firmbrandt, who said, "No age limit or test. We, the public/voters, need to be committed and cunning enough to not vote for people that we think can't do the job." And she's from Sweden, she says. I wish I could agree, but I also just don't trust enough of the people in my country. Some of them out there's a large swath of people in my country that are just, I feel like, going off the deep end lately. And they're a big enough part of the country that it's concerning to me as far as voting goes. So there's some really out there people and movements that are happening, and I just can't trust that people are going to be committed and cunning enough to not vote for people that can't do the job. And then our last comment today is from Amanda Kuzdas. I thought this one was really insightful, so I really wanted to share this one. She says, I'm actually going to go nay on an upper limit age cap for political office, but with the caveat that we need perhaps a civics test for those running to prove they understand not just what our country's structure is and what their office's role is within that structure, but also things like what an effective cabinet can do for the country's image in the world stage. An effective leader may be old, but surround themselves with a group of younger advisors, cabinet members, etc., that can bring in new ideas and collaborations. It's all in how effective they are or are not. There are multiple things about how certain offices are filled that I think need to be changed, though. My state elects our state Supreme Court justices. It's a popularity vote when it should be evaluated on ability and experience. Same with county sheriff. And yeah, those are definitely some great points, because, like, for instance, the president doesn't do hardly anything on their own. Like, their team is a big part of it, and the people who are in other offices that support the presidency or the other branches of government. So that is definitely important also. So yeah, great responses, you guys. I really enjoyed hearing from you on kind of more of a divisive topic, I guess. I won't do that all the time because I feel like it can get out of hand sometimes, but I really do enjoy topics like that, so I probably will do it sometimes. And I understand if some of you feel like you don't want to jump in on those topics, but if you do, I really appreciate hearing your thoughts. So as far as this week's yay or nay goes, it's going to be more of a personal one. And what I was going to ask is, do you have memories from before the age of 3 or so? So yay if you do remember things younger than that age, and nay if you don't. And if you want to share, what's your very oldest memory? And I think that'll be it for this week, guys. Thank you so much for joining me and spending some of your time with me today. Oh my gosh, guys, my phone actually died right then, like right before I was about to sign off the video. So anyway, I'm not sure what I'm going to be showing here. It might just be black, but yeah, thanks again for being here. I will see you guys in the next video, whenever that may be. And yeah, have a good week until then. Bye, everybody.